Welcome to Session 5, Forecasting Exchange Rate. For today's session, the goal is students are able to understand forecasting exchange rate, and the goal for the module is to understand how to forecast exchange rate. The learning outcomes are to explain why firms forecast exchange rate, to describe the common techniques used for forecasting, to explain how forecasting performance can be evaluated, to demonstrate how technical analysis is used to generate buy and sell signals. There are 5 motives as to why firms forecast exchange rate. First, hedging decisions. Second, short-term investment decisions. Third, capital budgeting decisions. Fourth, earning assessment. Fifth, long-term financing decisions. The forecasting techniques are technical forecasting, fundamental forecasting, market-based forecasting, and mixed forecasting. Technical analysis is used to predict future values by using historical exchange rate data. And why technical analysis might work? One of the reasons is that foreign exchange dealer and currency fund managers extensively use technical analysis. And technical analysis may have some predicting ability because history repeats itself. Technical analysis has some limitations. First, it ignores the role of fundamentals. Second, it is only useful for very short-term periods. Third, it may work well in one particular period but may not work well in another period. The last one, if the foreign exchange market is weak from efficient, then the technical analysis would not be able to improve upon today's exchange rate when forecasting those rates in the near future. The next forecasting techniques is fundamental forecasting. So it is based on fundamental relationship between economic variables and exchange rate. The fundamental analysis can be done in several ways. First, top-down analysis. Second, bottom-up approach. Third, analyzing the forces of demand and supply for foreign exchange. And the fourth, analyzing the BOP and interest rates. So PPP is used for fundamental forecasting. The currency of higher inflation country will depreciate by an amount equal to the inflation differential. So this is the formula. The next forecasting for fundamental is with a lag impact. The fundamental forecasting sometimes has to account for a lag impact in which changes in variables in earlier periods spill over to affect exchange rate movements in a later period. And the third is instantaneous influences in fundamental forecasting. The values of independent variables may not be known at the time when the MNC wants to forecast the exchange rate. So the forecast for these independent variables must be used. The next forecasting techniques for fundamental is using covered interest rate parity. So basically it involves forward premium or discount calculations. And the next fundamental forecasting techniques is comprehensive model. In comprehensive model, it might include many more factors than are described here, which is inflation, interest rate differential, and government controls, and the expectation of future exchange rate. So we have some limitations of fundamental forecasting, which includes unknown timing of the impact of some factors. Forecasts of some factors may be difficult to obtain. Some factors are not easily quantified. Regression coefficient may not remain constant. So the forecasting technique based on market base using the spot rate, using the forward rate, and using the rationale for the forward rate. And we have the mixed forecasting, which use a combination of forecasting techniques, and mixed forecast is then a weighted average of the various forecasts developed, and we consider other sources of forecasts. And the last one, to measure the accuracy of forecasting performance, we use three measures. The first one is mean absolute error, the second is mean square error, and the third is root mean square error. So the assessment of forecast performance involves first, measurement of forecast error, forecast errors among time horizons, forecast errors among currencies, comparing forecast errors among forecast techniques. So this is the end of the slides. We have two questions that you have to answer. First, which of the following is not an assumption of market efficiency? A. Instruments denominated in other currencies are perfect substitutes for one another. B. Transaction costs are low or non-existent. C. All relevant information is quickly reflected in both spot and forward exchange markets. D. All of the above are true. Second, if the forward exchange rate is an unbiased predictor of future spot rates, then future spot rates will always be equal to the current forward rates. True A, false B. Thank you for watching. Bye.